Welcome to Topline Hotline.
How can we sleep when it's Topline Hotline? How do we sleep when it's Topline Hotline? The time has come to save as fair, to pay the rent, and to listen to questions from the Pavilion CRO Slack channel.
Sam misses one Topline Hotline, and he feels like he has to up his game.
Overcompensate.
Relax, let me show you
It's
guys how
It's a
this is
lot.
done.
Hey, buddy, take a step back. It's okay. You don't need to be the center of attention. Yes, I do. I want to be the center of attention. Pay attention to me, please, God. What if I die and nobody cares?
Is that our question? Is that the hotline question? Not real.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Topline Hotline, short segment with AJ Bruno, Asad Zaman, Sam Jacobs, answering your burning questions on go-to-market, primarily from the Pavilion CRO Slack channel, but also from everywhere else, including the Pavilion Topline Slack channel as well, where our listeners gather to share good stories, contribute to our programming, and high-five each other. That's it.
There we go. Okay, we have an interesting question today.
This is a very silly podcast.
This is the best podcast. Okay, so I want to know, this is from the Slack channel. I want to ask about win-loss analysis. What are the deadly sins of win-loss analysis? And the specific questions are, how much should you trust your own data from your CRM about the reasons you win or lose deals? Second, do you know why your customers are not moving ahead or ghost you? How sure are you that all the reasons why you lose a deal? Should you trust your own data? Should you engage third-party consultants to do this analysis for you? How do you get your reps to actually put in the right reasons so that you can make business decisions from this information? That's the crux of the question. AJ, what do you think?
Oh, I love it. Thank you for calling on me, because Sam, before this episode, Sam's like, I've got a great answer for this.
I was like, let's do it.
I love that he did too. It's a curveball.
You looked relaxed. I was like, here you go.
No. The answer is we're finding this out right now. So Mike Hoffman runs a company called Pass Site, and it does a closed loss analysis on your closed loss deals. There's a couple other companies that we looked at: Closed, Glue.
It doesn't matter. Pass Site's the one that you should use. If you're listening, why aren't you using Pass Site?
Oh, look at this. This turned into a commercial for Mike. He's going to appreciate that. But when we set up with Mike, we were like, we have a really good sense of what we're going to see, what we expect to see. So he sent out 100 messages just a couple of weeks ago. He did 2 interviews just last week. We got the notes on that. And it turns out we did actually know the reason that they got
interesting.
But he gave a much higher fidelity around it. And so there's some real key action oriented items around it that I really appreciated. And we're going to get hopefully 50, 60 of these over the next several months to really be able to answer that question. So
why did you engage Mike? So you felt like, okay, we tracked this, we kind of know what's going on. What was the reason where you're like, no, I need somebody else I need an expert to come in and to run this for me?
I think for us, it's because we have an ops leader, Ryan Milligan, running sales. And so in his brain, it's just the data. He's going to fall back on the data. And I think any opportunity to enrich the data and not that you don't trust the sales team, but to really be able to dig deeper on an objective point of view is something we're going to take advantage of, and that we wanted to take advantage of. So my answer to this is, hey, if you have a smaller team and you have Salesforce set up and you're doing a data hygiene and looking at the bad ops, your bad op list or whatever, and you have it, I think you can trust it. I think Sam's going to disagree with me on this potentially. I think most bigger scale sales teams are going to be challenged, but startups, Series A, Series B should be in a pretty good spot to review and do this review. We do this close loss review on a monthly basis, by the way. And we have slides where we do a big deal review where you have a slide with the op and you have the decision makers and where can you use help and all those things. We do that same thing with a closed loss on a monthly basis in a monthly business review. And it's been pretty helpful. but we want more fidelity around that, and just to continue to improve our go-to-market.
That's
Sam,
very cool.
what say you?
Sam.
I do think first thing is, if you have the resources, to AJ's point, if you don't have the resources, listen to gong calls, you know. If you do have the resources, Hoff runs this company called PassSite. You should check them out. My friend Alex Gorbansky runs a company called Churn Vision, which does customer interviews for people that have churned, which is a similar perspective. In both instances, the CRM data tends to be difficult. It can be good. How can you make it good? For me, my tactical tip is everywhere I've gone, you default to really crappy drop downs when you're selecting the close lost reason or the churn reason, and you have not enough time to use the product, not enough value, too expensive for the price. All three of those, by the way, are exactly the same reason, right? So you have all of the, for us, our churn reasons are like too expensive, didn't have the time, not enough value, employer stopped paying for it. Okay, all four of those things are exactly the same reason, right? Which is that there is a reason. If they thought if it did what it said on the tin, it would be worth what we charge. So where were the expectations misaligned around what they thought it would do, meaning Pavilion or QuotaPath or Sales or whatever, and what it did? And where was the failure in onboarding? Did we not connect them to the right resources? Did we not structure it the right way? But the point is, in close lost, your sales team will default to the simplest, easiest thing. And so oftentimes it's garbage data, and it's always going to be priced too high. The sales team always is going to want a lower price with more features because they think features are what wins or loses the deal, and or they think lack of features is what loses the deal and their brilliance is what wins the deal. And the reality is, there's a lot of other factors why you might win or lose an opportunity besides features, but also besides price, right? Which comes down to the quality of the conversation with the sales team. And it also comes down to so a good drop down is competitors, right? That's important to understand if you've lost a deal to competitors. But I just think my hot take is that there's over reliance on bad data. If you can get the right choices for why you might lose, for example, didn't integrate with ADP. Okay, like that's a different thing than, not feature rich enough or not enough value, didn't see the value. So my advice to people listening is you can use CRM. You don't necessarily need to hire an outside consultant as long as the qualitative data that you're getting from the CRM is rich enough to help you make a good decision. Because otherwise, most of the time, the data is just going to tell you to lower your price.
What about like these interviews that AJ was alluding to that Mike's team goes and conducts?
Well, Asad, one thing about that, when we're talking about closed loss, there's closed loss new business sales and then closed loss customer sales. So there is a distinction between those two.
Is there a distinction in where you would use interviews? Like, it
I
seems like
on a client or customer, I think it would be strange to not have the data behind it. On a new business, it's a little bit of a different story. But maybe Sam has a different perspective.
Sam, how should we incorporate interviewing the person to get like a much deeper context around their reasoning? Should we do it? When should we do it?
Yes, you should absolutely do it. We were today, sorry to keep, talking about, for the listeners, it was 4 days ago.
Literally the point people sign in and listen to this is for these inner stories.
Right, which is that Robbie presented this beautiful slide. And on the slide, on the left-hand screen of the slide, there was a guy driving this beautiful convertible along the ocean. And along the right side of the screen was a bunch of graphs. And she said, these are the same thing, but obviously the picture on the left has a more qualitative, fuller representation of the customer than all the data on the right. We are paid for judgment. We are paid not just to make data-driven decisions. They can be data-informed decisions, but we are paid for our judgment. And the qualitative richness of interacting with actual customers and actual human beings gives color and resonance and depth to the image that data helps inform. So I think the two should be used in combination. But yeah, I think you got to talk to customers. I think it makes a big difference. And I think it gives you details and adjectives and nuance that you will not get just looking at a spreadsheet.
That point that you just made around we're paid for our judgment, I think people just sometimes try to skip over that. I made data-driven decisions is sometimes a way of saying the data is going to give me the answer, and the data informs a decision. You still have to use your judgment, and so you have to develop your skills around how to use judgment in various scenarios.
That's literally what all three of us are paid to do. That is what we are paid to do.
Yeah. If you didn't have to use your judgment, then a machine could make those decisions. You wouldn't be necessary.
Exactly.
There's so much friction in everything that we do that a machine can't just jump in and make these decisions. You have to bring the human into the mix.
I love,
and use your
by the way,
judgment.
Asad, we're answering Sam's initial question. Do I matter? Right now. We did it.
Of course you matter, Sam. Look at that. That's how we close this.
Sam literally asked the question, do I matter? And here we are.
If I pass away, will you miss me?
Will you miss me? Yeah.
I'm asking
Not if you're a
you.
machine. Not if you're a machine. Sam.
I'll miss you. I'll miss you, Asad. I care about you.
I
just want
hope
you to
so.
know.
I
You
hope
made
so.
an impact. You have made an impact. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
There we go.
All right.
On this very uplifting note.
Asad, send us home, my friend, wherever that home may be. Whatever that home looks like. Up in the skies, in the heavens, maybe. I don't know. Go ahead.
Sam, you close it for us. You're back.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to another great episode of Topline Hotline. Join our Slack channel. We get in touch with us. We're actually going to be doing a live LinkedIn podcast, a LinkedIn live podcast for Topline, where we'll fully promote the Slack channel. But if you want to get access to it, you can. Give us 5 stars. Check out our sponsors. Check out Past Site, Mike Hoffman's company.
He's cool.
And thanks very much for listening.
Bye, everyone.